Welcome back to the Conveyance Desk. In episode 16, we covered gift transfers between family, the HEBA route. Today is episode 17, and this one is about service charges and developer NOC. What the NOC actually establishes, why developers withhold it, conveyance.ae NOC, and what to do when service charges are disputed. Quick reminder. This is general educational content, not legal advice. Service charge structures vary by community. NOC processes vary by developer. So use this as a guide. Here is the framing. The NOC is the developer's confirmation that there is no objection to the transfer. It is one of the most important documents in any Dubai property transfer. Without it, the transfer cannot proceed at the trustee office. The NOC certifies that service charges are paid up to the transfer date, that there are no community bylaws preventing transfer, that the developer has no claim against a seller that would impair clean title. This is a procedural document, but it is also a moment of friction, where the developer's records and the seller's records meet, where any disputes between the two surface. One who issues the NOC. For master developer managed properties, the developer issues the NOC.EMAAR.DAMAC.NAKHEEL. Dubai properties. Each has its own process, its own fees, its own turnaround. For jointly owned properties under the MOLAC system, the Owners Association issues the NOC. This is delivered electronically as an ROC. MOLAC is the regulatory framework that governs jointly owned property in Dubai. Buildings and communities under MOLAC have a registered Owners Association. The association manages service charges and issues the AONRC at transfer. MOLAC streamlines the NOC process. It is faster, more standardized, and harder for any single party to delay arbitrarily, but it still requires service charge clearance. 2. The processing time. NOC's issuance typically takes 2 to 10 working days. This range is wide because developers vary. Major developers with established processes issue in 2 to 5 days. Smaller developers or older communities can take longer. Communities with disputed service charges can stretch to weeks. Plan the NOC into the transfer timeline. A transfer date set without confirming NOC. Turnaround is a transfer date that may slip to always request the NOC at the start of the transfer process, not in the final week. 3. The validity period. NOCs carry a defined validity period, typically 30 days from issue, sometimes longer, depending on developer policy. If the transfer is not completed within the window, a fresh NOC must be obtained. This is not a formality. A transfer that slips past NOC validity stops at the trustee desk. The NOC must be reissued. The developer must process again. The transfer is rebooked, that the cost is days, sometimes a fresh fee. If a transfer is at risk of slipping, request the NOC reissuance proactively. Do not wait for the trustee to flag the expired document. 4. The fees. NOC fees vary by developer. AED 500 to 5,000 United Arab Emirates dirhams typically. Some developers charge a flat fee, some charge a percentage. Some include the NOC fee in a transfer administration package. The fee is paid before the NOC issues, usually by manager's check or bank transfer to the developer. Not at the trustee office, a separate transaction. Plan for the fee up front and budget for it as part of the transfer cost. 5. Why developers withhold NOCs. Developers do not withhold NOCs arbitrarily, but they will withhold them when there are open issues, outstanding service charges, disputed common area billing, unauthorized modifications to the unit, custom buildings, AC alterations, partition changes that lacked developer approval, outstanding snag list items from handover, unresolved community fee disputes. Each of these gives the developer a reason to delay or refuse. The transfer cannot proceed until the issue resolves. This is where seemingly clean transfers run into hidden obstacles. A unit modified by a previous owner without approval becomes the current seller's problem to resolve at NOC stage. A service charge dispute that the seller has been ignoring becomes a transfer blocker. 6. Service charge clearance. Service charges must be paid up to the transfer date. This is a hard requirement of NOC. The seller pays through the projected transfer date. If the transfer slips, service charges must be paid through the new date. Service charges are calculated by community, per square foot rates that vary by community type, building age, amenity level. A high-end community with extensive amenities can run AED 25 to AED 35 per square foot annually. A simpler community might run AED 8 to AED 15 per square foot. For a 1,500 square foot apartment, that is 12,000 United Arab Emirates dirhams to 52,000 United Arab Emirates dirhams per year. The service charge for the period not yet paid is added to the transfer day check package, either as a direct check to the developer or owners association. or as a payment processed through the trustee. 7. Disputed service charges. Sometimes a seller disputes service charges the community has billed for amenities not delivered. The community has assessed special charges the seller does not accept. The community has miscalculated the unit's share. These are real disputes, but they cannot be resolved at the NOC stage. If the dispute is unresolved, the transfer is blocked. The seller has 3 options: pay under protest, settle the disputed amount to clear NOC, then pursue recovery separately, in writing or through a formal dispute mechanism. This is the most common path. Negotiate a partial settlement. The community accepts a reduced figure to issue NOC. The seller accepts the reduced figure as final. This requires both parties to agree. Refuse to pay. The transfer does not proceed. The seller pursues the dispute through formal channels. The buyer waits or withdraws. This is rarely the best path. The cost of a delayed sale typically exceeds the disputed service charge amount. Pay under protest, transfer cleanly, then pursue recovery. 8. Modifications to the unit. Unauthorized modifications surface at NOC stage. A previous owner who installed a partition without approval, replaced flooring with non-approved finishes, modified the AC system, created built-in storage that altered the floor plan. The developer's records are based on the original handover specification. If the unit on inspection differs from records, the developer may require restoration to original specification before NAC, or require formal approval of the modification, which is its own process and fee. The current seller inherits this issue from the previous owner. It is resolved at the seller's cost. For buyers acquiring properties with modifications, this is a due diligence issue. Confirm that all modifications have developer approval before signing Form F, not after. 9. EO-NOC under MOLOC. The MOLOC system formalizes the EO-NOC process for jointly owned properties. The Owners Association uses the MOLOC portal. The EO-NOC is issued electronically, linked directly to DLD's transfer system. Faster than traditional developer NOC, more standardized across communities, less subject to arbitrary delay. For jointly owned properties, the EO-NOC is the route. There is no alternative paper-based NOC. The Owners Association must be active in the MOLAC system. A community where the association has not been formalized or where MOLAC registration has lapsed can experience delays. These are rare in established communities, more common in newer communities still completing handover. In the next episode, we will cover when transfers fail to 4 failure categories: documentary, financial, structural, procedural, what pre-flight checking actually looks like, and how to recover from a failed transfer. That's all for today. This was the Conveyance Desk